Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into Red, White, and Ruthless, a Nickel City Mafia production where our family business is football. Got a different co-host and a guest tonight, Mike Thornton. Go Bills, who's in the Go Bills podcast, who's in the chat right now. He was feeling under the weather, so Mike was going to be the guest anyway, but now he's taken over the role of co-host. So, Mike, thank you for doing that. And how you doing tonight? Thank you for
I'm
coming into the
doing,
show.
yeah, thanks for having me. I didn't get to do a show this Wednesday with Jake. He's been a busy man. We're going to do a show tomorrow night. So I thought it'd be fun. I actually had reports of ruthless activity going on the Nickel City Mafia channel Saturday nights. So I said, I better go check this out, make sure, let's see if there's some real ruthless stuff going on. So it's going to be fun.
That's
Thanks for
right.
having me.
We do get rowdy at times, so hopefully the chat helps out there too as well. But it's Patriot Week, and before we get into everything, it still feels good beating the Patriots all the time. But for me, especially, and probably for you even more so, it doesn't feel the same. So what I mean by that is like if we beat them with Brady, it'd feel a hell of a lot better than now when we beat them. Do you share the same sentiment as me, or do you still just be like, oh no, it doesn't matter as long as we beat them, it feels good?
I'm kind of in between. I mean, yes, you want to beat a team that's just dominated your division for so long. Obviously, I was around in the 90s, so I had that period of time when the Bills kind of dominated things. But yeah, I don't care whether it's Brady or who it is. I want to beat these Patriots all the time. It is interesting. Like I was looking at if Josh Allen ever got to play Brady, and he did. He's played him 3 times, twice when he was with New England and once when he was with the Bucks, and he's 0-3 right now against Brady. So interesting. He'll never get a chance again. So unless Brady gets off the couch and joins a team.
You see, it stinks too, Mike, because we could have won that Bucks game, and then that Patriots. There was one Patriots game when Josh actually got concussed in that game, and we lost 16-10. And that drive he got concussed on, we were driving down the field, and of course, as always, Josh got helmet-to-helmet hit. The cornerback stood over him, and then later on in the day, the guy posted a picture of him standing over Josh. But we had a holding call on that play as well, so the penalty's offset. So we didn't get the 15-yard penalty that we should have got, and we lost Josh. Barkley came in, he threw 2 picks, and we lost 16-10. That game felt like we could have won it. And, so it stinks because, that was the year we both started 3-0. I believe that was the year. No, yep, that was the year my son was born, I believe. Yeah, I think so. Yep. And I was like, you know what? We're doing pretty good. We beat the Giants, the Bengals, and the Jets. If we beat the Patriots here, we're looking pretty good. And then, didn't work out that way. But now it's a lot different story. Jessica Tennis in the chat. How you doing, Jessica? Thanks for tuning in. Mad Chatter says, what's up? What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, Mike, he'll never get a chance to beat Brady. But he's having a good time beating Belichick.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Can't beat Brady, beat Belichick all the time. I want to just ask everyone in the channel, make sure that you let us know if we're sounding okay. Lately we've had some audio level issues. Just want to make sure everything sounds good to you. Let us know. But back to you, Sean.
Yeah, and absolutely. Well, we always love the feedback, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Everyone in the chat, we know you guys are subscribed and liking the videos because you're our regulars and our loyal fans. We appreciate it. What's going on, Linda West? Thank you for tuning in. And go Bills. I always laugh because Brett has like 5 different YouTube, email, whatever. So.
Oh wait, he's got burner accounts. Is that what you're telling me?
He's got a few.
That's really suspect right there. I don't know what's going on with that.
Can't trust a guy with more than one account. But we're gonna get into everything. And remember, everybody, we love when you guys are involved in the show. We have our own things to talk about, but anything you guys want to bring up, definitely throw it in the chat, and we could, definitely touch on that. We get ruthless and rowdy up in here always, so let's continue to do that. So first question, and Brett had the docket laid out today, and his first thing that we wanted to talk about was, I'll skip that one because that one's a loaded one, and it could really get the conversation going. But we'll skip that one and go to the next one. Mike, should the Bills call up Andy Isabella? And before you answer, he can return kicks. And I think that's a good point that Brett had because Ty Johnson is, I guess, has a little bit of experience returning kicks, but Harris was a kick returner. So do you think Andy Isabella can find a way under the roster, or do you think it's just going to be something to talk about?
No, I'm not a fan of bringing him up. I think Khalil can fill that role if we need him to, and we're not throwing the ball to the other guys. Why are we going to bring up Isabella? You think from a receiver standpoint, absolutely not. And then from a kick returner standpoint, again, I'm a Khalil Shakir fan. He can do that. So for me, it's a no. What do you think?
Yeah, somewhat similar. And as Brett mentioned, the coaching staff felt the same because he didn't get called up. And, that's my fault. I should have looked into that before because he sent me this in the morning. But so Andy Isabella did not get called up, but it was a thing to consider because, I mean, Ty Johnson's not even that good. I don't even know why we were so – I was really frustrated that because we didn't get Fournette because we wanted to keep Ty Johnson. And, he just never really popped to me when he was in New Jersey, and I don't know. But I think for Isabella, he's a decent kick returner, but I think the only way he'll find a way into the roster is if an injury ensues, and he'll have to make opportunities from that. But there's Jake in the chat. What's up, boys? Cheers. I'll be seeing you soon. Kendall Vickers got called up. See, that was funny, Mike, because Jordan Phillips yesterday posted a story about Cameron Klein. And he said, you guys are going to find out soon enough. So I was like, oh, is he hinting that Cameron Klein's going to get called up this week and play some D tackle? But they called up Vickers, and Klein was not called up. So,
do you know much about Vickers? Can you tell me a little bit about Vickers? Because I do not know anything about Vickers.
He's a dual guy, so he could do tackle. He's like not oversized, and he's kind of like an in between D tackle size and defensive end size. And I think obviously he'll play more D tackle this week because we're out Ed Oliver and we're out Daquan Jones. So I think he'll play a little bit of more D tackle. Maybe they'll throw him in the defensive end spot, but he'll probably play D tackle. He's not, like Matt Cheddar said, he's average, nothing special. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting because we're going to see a lot of Tim Settle and Tim Settle and Poona Ford, but we'll talk about that more as we get going. But yeah, Jordan Phillips I was like, that might be interesting. Maybe we'll see Cameron Klein, one of the preseason darlings, but maybe he was just talking. Maybe he was just talking him up, and the coaches didn't think they should call him up. But Brett says Vickers played in the Miami game. He was defensive end when Epinesa was getting oxygen. No, that was Jags game. Yeah, we had Vickers play a little bit in that game. But I don't know. Nothing special, Mike. Nothing's going to jump out at you and say, wow, this guy's a diamond in the rough type player.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll get to see him out there for the first time, so it's always interesting. And then, Poona Ford, who was inactive for a few weeks, been back now for a couple of weeks. Get to see him. We love what he brings. And Tim Settle just needs to do what we expect from Tim Settle. He hasn't been what we've expected. We paid him a lot of money, but he's a big body, and step it up. He's got some great guys around him on the edge. So
plenty. Yeah, it's been he's been a lot down because I liked his energy. We all liked his energy. I think when he came in, you could say he was somewhat ruthless, on the mic, getting all pumped up. But he hasn't in Washington. He made a lot of flash plays and jumped out at you. But now he isn't doing that. He isn't doing that, and some people are saying he's really a 3 tech, but he's playing 1 tech. That dude's huge. He just isn't that good. Like, he's just a guy. He's not. He's not like the guys that were in Washington. They're all first round picks. He's not like Ed Oliver. He can make a play here and there, but he's not gonna be a starter for your team. And unfortunately, he's in the spot where he has to start now. But maybe he could step up. Like you said, he's got plenty of talent around him. Leonard Floyd, Greg Rousseau, Von Miller are going to be on the edge. AJ Epinesa, you should be able to make some play.
Well, didn't you tell me, in McDermott's defense, so Daquan Jones was having a fantastic start to the year, right? Now, Daquan's been around for 10 years, but you said there was something they were doing differently with him this year because McDermott took things over. Could that work for Settle? Maybe. Could something change? based on how McDermott schemes things up.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But and then you also have to think about the type of player they are. Like Daquan Jones is stronger, faster, has better pass rush moves, just a better tackle. So I think it works better for him just because he's such a good pass rusher. I just feel like Tim Settle is just, he doesn't shine at one thing specifically. But like you said, now that he's in a starting role, maybe it can work better for him because we're going to see him on the field more. So definitely not going to write him off yet. He hasn't produced anything, but
let's take some questions if you don't mind.
For sure.
We got Linda coming in there. Which defense do you think we're getting this week, Jekyll or Hyde? I don't know if you mistyped that, Linda. I think you might say which offense we get in this week, Jekyll or Hyde, because I felt the defense has been pretty consistent. They really have. They've kept us in games, especially these last 2 weeks. I mean, without them, we lose. We lost the game 2 weeks ago, but they kept us in that game and gave us a chance to win. And then this past week, I mean, without them, we lose. So I think the defense has been doing pretty well. I think maybe offense is where I'd ask that question. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, the defense is going to be what it is now. I mean, you're out 3 key starters in 3 different positions, D tackle, linebacker, and corner. Every level you're missing an all-pro or an all-pro type player because technically Jones wasn't an all-pro, but he was playing like an all-pro. And he probably would have, if he finished the year off how he was doing, he probably would have been. However, it's just going to be what it is now. When we play great teams with great receivers, we're going to get beat up a little bit. And, we're going to get into talking about trade stuff later. But if you watch the Jags-Saints game, what did Calvin Ridley do in that game? Nothing. He didn't do anything. They got Marshawn Lattimore, a top lockdown corner over there. He went over 100 yards on us in like 8 or 9 catches. So when you play teams like Tampa Bay, who got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, we're going to get beat up a little bit. When we play teams with great receivers, we're going to give up some yards. We're going to give up some points. We're going to give up some big plays. So when you don't got guys like Milano and Trey White and Daquan Jones, it makes it difficult. So defense is going to be fine. It's just there's going to be some games where we give up 20 points, 20-plus points, and offense is going to have to lead the way at this point. We're not going to – unless we're playing a bad team like New England or the Giants, you could probably hold them to under 14 points. But when you start playing the teams with offensive firepower, this defense is going to – we're going to get frustrated at this defense, and offense is going to have to carry the team.
Yeah, Linda corrected herself. She meant to say offense, which is what I thought. And we'll definitely be talking about that, Linda. I agree with you. Who are we going to get? It's been frustrating for sure. And I don't know, is Matt Chatter been listening to Brett? Did Brett spread a rumor, something about Josh doing drugs or something crazy? I think I heard that on one of your shows.
Brett, he goes off on his tangents.
Come on, man. What's with this drug theory here?
But yeah, so I guess, Brett's got a question. What do you think of DJ Davidson from the Giants, trade candidate? I don't think after what, the farewell exchange from McDermott and Daboll at the end of the game, I don't think there's ever going to be trades with them anymore. They seem pretty against each other. So, and I'm not really into anybody from the Giants, but we'll get into Brett. I'm sure you got a ton of trade people you want to talk about later. So when we get to that segment, you can throw your guys in there. But let's get to that first question that I skipped just because it's a loaded question. And Mike, how can the Bills offense get back on track? And we talk about this all the time. We talk about the offense, the play call. We talk about all this stuff ad nauseum, especially you and I. So I'll throw it to you first. Do you think the offense is what it is, just an inconsistent group? Or is there a couple things you can contribute to it? I know it's a lot, but unpack it in your own way. I know there's a ton to talk about for it, but that's what we're here for.
I've learned a lot over the past week watching your film study and kind of looking at things again after the fact. Because when you go live after a game, there's a lot of things you just don't remember. Only certain things stick out in your head. And then when you have a week to digest it, you're like, I love Diggs getting 10 catches for 100 yards, but he had 16 targets. And in that first half, there was only 3 folks that were targeted. So to me, Sean, it's distribute the ball. And I know people have been saying it's on Dorsey. Well, again, based on your film studies that I've seen and listened to, there are other folks that were open. And one way that I think they can improve things is just keep distributing the ball. When they've done that, they've done pretty well. Get Kincaid involved. Kincaid's back. He wasn't here last week. Glad he's back this week. And, I was thinking about Kincaid, right? And so far, you have to be a little disappointed if you're a Bills fan, right? Based on the usage that they've had him. And I looked at the top, based on the usage that we've been providing with him. So I looked at the top 3 tight ends that were drafted. Dalton Kincaid was first. He's on pace for 60 targets, which is definitely a letdown. I mean, 60 targets is kind of like the bottom, like for a non-first rounder. But we had maybe fooled ourselves thinking we're going to get 80, 85 targets. Now, Sam Laporta, on the other hand, in Detroit, he's on target. He's on pace to get 114 targets, Sean. 2 games now, he's had 11 targets. Now, the last game they threw 11 targets at him. It wasn't great. I mean, he had only like 4 catches out of that, but they're getting him the ball. So to answer your question, is distribute the ball more. And again, like you and I have talked during the week, I never want to say take the ball out of Stephon Diggs' hand. If Josh is dropping back and that first read is there to Diggs, I'm taking it. I'm taking it 90% of the time. But there were throws in that game where Diggs wasn't open. I mean, he kind of forced it, and you can kind of look at that interception that was thrown. I think that was going to Diggs, if I remember correctly. And there's always going to be a lot of people around Diggs. And of course, the linebacker made a nice deflection, interception. But I'm sure if Josh would have looked somewhere else, there was someone else more wide open. So for me, distribute the ball, Sean. I was complaining about the running game after the game. I was like, man, we need to run the ball more. Guess what? Listening to your film review, we ran the ball 50% of the time. And you could say, should we have ran more than that? I don't know. You pay Josh Allen a lot of money to throw the ball. I think 50-50's at the basement where I want to be. 50-50 is fantastic if you're saying run the ball more. For me, I'd like it to be a little bit more. Not quite as you. I think you were about a 65-35 split. I'm good with 60-40. And 50-50 is fine with me if it's working. But again, I had to retract and say, damn, we did run the ball. And we were being successful in shotgun runs, believe it or not. I think I told Jake, can we take that out of the playbook? Let's just take the shotgun run. And as I'm driving home the other night, actually, I had to drive into work this week. So I have an hour in and an hour back. As I'm listening to your film study part 1, film study part 2, I kept hearing you say, shotgun run. Oh, look at that. 5 yards, shotgun run. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm just complaining about the ones that don't work. And not everything's going to work all the time. You're going up against skilled players. They're going to make stops. So long story short, sorry if I rambled there. Distribute the ball, get Kincaid involved, and get some of those other guys involved. Love that Diggs will get his, but you need to get some other folks involved.
Wonderful. So before I continue into my part, I was listening to some other channel, and very popular. They do a great job. And one of the people mentioned that if you take away the Bills' best 3 games, they only average 16 points a game. And then he said, that's good for 28th in the league. But what he didn't do was take the best 3 games out of every other team's 6 games. So I just did one team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Has the best quarterback in the NFL, has the best offensive-minded head coach, has the best offensive play calling coach because Andy Reid more than likely calls all the plays, and you got Matt Nagy, who's a good offensive coordinator. I took away their 3 best games, and they average 18 points a game. So we want to say our offense stinks or, oh, it's only 3 games that we did really good. Take away the Chiefs' best 3. Take away anybody's best 3 anything. They're not going to be as good. So to me, that's just silly, to be nice. And, I like to be ruthless, but, I'm not talking bad about other people. But to me, that was silly because you take away the Bills' best 3 games, but nobody else's best 3 games, and you put us, we're bottom of the league in scoring. Well, yeah, obviously, because other people still have their 3 best games that they played. We don't have ours anymore. You can't score like the Dolphins. They score 40 points a game, but they played an 0-6 Panther team, a 1-5 Giants team, a 1-5 Patriots team, a 1-5 Broncos team. Of course, they're going to score 40 points a game. Yeah, we didn't score 40 points against the Giants, neither did they. But you can't be great all the time. They played us, a great team. They scored 20 points. So yeah, you take away their 3 best games, they still average 40 points a game. But we cannot expect our team to score 30 plus points every single game and not expect a little blip here and there. With the first week, Josh threw that game away. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody blames Dorsey's play calling. He called the best play calling you needed to do. The play calling we did, that's what Dallas did, and Dallas beat them by 20. So the difference is Dallas didn't turn the ball over. Dak didn't throw any interceptions. They didn't fumble once. So Josh threw the game away that game. Don't blame the play calling there. Then the Jags game, you could list all the million excuses we had. And then this game, first we had 2 trips on the first drive, 3 and out. That stinks, right? But that wasn't the play call's fault. It wasn't Ken Dorsey's fault. It wasn't the offensive line's fault. It wasn't even Josh's fault. Then Gabe Davis fumbled when we were driving. So that stinks too. So then you got another drive where you don't score. And then Josh threw a pick. And then in the second half, we only had 3 drives and we scored 3 times. So what I'm trying to say is, yeah, maybe the offense looks a little inconsistent right now. But what offense besides the Dolphins, even Dolphins looked a little bit inconsistent here and there, have been every single game on fire? None. And a lot of people like to say, well, Josh can't be perfect every single week. Josh can't be perfect. You know, no quarterback is perfect. No coach can be perfect either. So I used to be one of the guys, Mike, who never wanted to give Josh any blame whatsoever because I hated how much hate he got throughout the whole NFL. So I would literally hate guys like Daboll and try to blame Daboll as much as I could because I wanted Josh to get 0. And then, you know, last year I was like still kind of putting it towards Dorsey, but I start to think about it a little bit. And then as this year comes, I'm like, okay, it's year 2 with Dorsey. And I mentioned it before on another show. The common denominator of Dorsey and Daboll was they both had Josh Allen. So if everybody's saying that Daboll stinks and Dorsey stinks, let's think about it a little bit deeper. Maybe it's not their fault 100% why things don't work out all the time. You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm not saying Josh is bad. Josh is the second best quarterback in the league. I love Josh. But if we think he can get us to the promised land and win us a Super Bowl, we can't just think he's untouchable and he's a perfect person and can't make a mistake. Because, like you mentioned, people like to say, oh, nobody was open. Turn on the tape if you can. And if you can't, watch my tape or watch someone else's tape, and you can see if people do the whole playthrough. Some people only use the little bits and pieces of the film to show what they want to see. But if you watch the whole thing, people are open. What Josh hasn't been doing this year is waiting a little bit of time to go through all of his progressions, especially the last 2 games. It's boom, Diggs, or, oh, design play for Knox, design play for whoever. But a lot of these times, and I broke it down, if Josh waited a split second, because the offensive line has been great. They've been holding a good amount of time. And if you waited a split second, you got Knox open on a deep crosser. You got Shakir open on a slant route. You got all these things that took a little bit longer to develop, but they're open. And Josh, just like you said, which is not wrong, immediately goes to the first read. It's open. Get that. It works. But everybody's sitting here blaming, you know, Dorsey sucks. He's a horrible play caller. Who are you going to bring in? Who do you want calling plays right now? Like, who's going to call plays at this point in time? What we need to do is he needs to tell Josh, which I will blame Josh for. I will blame Dorsey for. Hey, Josh, great job hitting Diggs there. But if you waited a split second and actually read your progression from right to left to right, and it could be a split second read, you could have had a deeper play or a more wide open play. Because as you mentioned, Mike, he had 16 targets, 10 catches. Some of those targets he wasn't even open for.
Yep.
And if, you know, with Kincaid, a lot of our things for him are short. That's what all the short passes that Kincaid has, those are designed for him. But what Josh doesn't do is look for him in the middle of the field when he is open because he's going somewhere else. He has to give him time. He has to give time to develop the play and then throw it. We have a great offensive line. We have a top 10 offensive line. We have a top 5 pass blocking offensive line. Trust it. Give it time. And, I've seen people, and I'm going on a big tangent, but all this stuff needs to be talked about. I've been waiting a long time to say all this stuff because I haven't had a show, for a long time, it feels like. But and our show is only once a week, so that's what I'm saying. But people mention, the coaches are holding Josh back because they don't call any design runs for him anymore. Nobody told Josh, hey, when you see a wide open lane with 20 yards of grass or turf, throw it 45 yards over Dawson Knox's head for an incomplete pass and a 4th down. You could take that and run. Nobody said don't run. They just said we're not going to call quarterback draws or quarterback sweeps all the time like we did with Dayball. That's all that, I see a lot of people, Josh isn't playing free. Josh isn't doing this. Did you guys know Josh is number 1 in completion percentage? Did you know Josh is number 2 in QBR behind Brock Purdy? He's still number 1 in total touchdowns. He's 1 touchdown pass behind Tua for number 1. And we're talking about the coaches are handcuffing him. He's having statistically the best season of his career. His rookie year, 52% completion, 20 points he jumped. His QBR was never in the top 5. And that's because he's playing smart football. So do I care that he's not running all these design runs? No, I don't. I think it's great. But it's on Josh if he decides not to run when he's scrambling and he sees a lane. That's not the coach's fault. They never said don't be who you are. We're just not going to call design runs for you. So those are little things that Josh needs criticism for that a lot of the fan base does not want to criticize him for some reason. And like I said, this is why I wanted to wait for this one because it's a huge thing. But simply enough, Josh is a great quarterback. He has enough arm strength and smarts and talent to get people the ball, even if he has to go through a little bit of progression. When you watch the film, his head just goes one way the whole time, boom. He doesn't go, not even for a second. So trust your receivers. You got guys like Sherfield and Hardy who are fast. Kincaid, who has great hands. Gabe Davis, who you need to start trusting more because I was told that his ankle is better and he should be a great player. So why is he getting 1 catch and then 6, then no catches, or 1 catch and then 5? He needs to be more consistent. And I get it. Once he fumbled, I wouldn't have thrown him the ball either. Once you fumble the ball and give the ball away from us, I'm going to go away from you. But people need to step up, and it starts with Josh because he's the leader of this team. He makes the most money on this team. He's the best player on this team. So, yeah, coaching does matter. But when are we going to start having accountability for the best players on our team who make this team what it is? Josh needs to get his players involved because he's the one that distributes the ball. So we're going to lead into the next question. After I ran it so much, I'm going to throw it to you, Mike. Who is that guy that needs to step up and cement himself as the next number 2 option, not even number 2 receiver, number 2 option, tight end, receiver? Who's going to be that guy? Running back. Who's going to be the guy that can prove to everyone and to prove to Josh, you can look my way?
Well, the obvious answer is Gabe, right? Gabe's on a contract year, and I don't know if he's playing at a level that's going to get him. He's still going to get paid really, really well, but I think it's got to be Gabe. Contract year. We want Big Gabe back. He fumbled last week, like you said. That's not on Dorsey or Josh, and we need him. He's big game Gabe. Would love some more consistency, Sean. He needs to be more consistent. Can't have him go for 1 big game and then he's kind of silent the next 2 or 3 games. And then, I got a couple. So if I'm going to say a couple, it's going to be Gabe in this order. It's going to be Gabe, Kincaid, and that's not Kincaid's fault. They just need to throw him the ball because Kincaid can catch the ball. Just throw it to him. And then Cook. I'd love to see Cook getting more out of the backfield. He's got great hands. Let's get it to him out of the backfields. And I know he's not a great blocking back, Sean, but shoot. Design plays. You can let him slip out. They think they got a free run at Josh. He just dumps it off to Cook. Let him roll. So I think those would be my 3 in that order. Can I throw some numbers at you for a little bit, some PFF stuff? Yeah. And the channel, who do you think, based on what Sean, the question he just had out there, put out there, who needs to step up? But I just want to show you guys, this offense has been so inconsistent, but they're top 4. I'm looking PFF, and I know some of you don't like PFF, but it's a great tool for when you're doing these type of things. The Bills are rated as the top 4 offense, according to PFF. On the defensive side of things, they are They're number 8, which is not bad is either. So overall, though, from an overall perspective, PFF has the Bills as the 4th best team in the NFL. They have the Dolphins, the Niners, the Detroit Lions, believe it or not, 5-1 Detroit, and then the Buffalo Bills. So offense inconsistent, just need to get more consistent. And you're going to see that in my prediction because I'm so over giving score predictions. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so let me see here. I want to make sure we're not missing anyone in the chat. Linda's saying, let's see what Linda's saying here. I'm with you, Mike. I'd love to see Kincaid. Yeah, agree. I mean, got to use him. Got to use him more. 60 targets for the year is not good enough for a first-round pick. To me, it feels like you said, Sean, I think we were kind of taken back at first, and then we kind of talked ourselves into it. He's going to be in the slot. He's going to be the receiver. McKenzie has 65 targets, so I'm thinking he's at least going to get 65 or more this year.
Got to be better than McKenzie.
Right, got to be. And just haven't seen it. But again, when you look at the other, people always say, rookie tight ends typically don't have a big first year. And based on the fact that the Bills don't seem to use them a lot, I kind of was fooling myself a little bit early on. I convinced myself, but it needs to happen.
Jake Podger effect.
It's a Jake Podger effect for sure, but it needs to happen. Kincaid, get him involved. Let's see what else we got going here.
You read a couple comments, and I gotta go back to the offense question because there's a lot of stuff I forgot, and I know it's a lot, but
Brett, we're going to talk about kind of the trade deadline that's coming up, and we'll talk about all that together. So please hold on a little bit longer for us, and then we'll get into that. Mm-hmm. And then what do we got here? 49ers, Paper Tigers. They don't play AFC much. Chiefs, Dolphins, Bills, Eagles. That's how you're rating the teams, Matt Chatter. I agree. You always got to keep the Chiefs at the top until you beat them to the king. And how tall is Harrison? Damian Harrison? He's only like 5'11".
No, he's talking about Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, Marvin Harrison
Which,
Jr.
Brett, I'll answer your question quick before we get into it. We have no chance of getting a guy like him, but we'll talk about it anyway. Right. Okay, so I just wanted to go back to the offense stuff real quick because you brought up how I mentioned the shotgun runs and stuff. So when you see them not work, you get frustrated. You start to be like, well, why do we do that? It's stupid. For one, look around the league. Everybody does it. But just picture this with me for a second. So you never run out of the shotgun ever, right? Because we're so great under center and under center play action, as the stats show. Now imagine we do it 85% of the time or 100% of the time. Don't you think that by laws of averaging and regressing to the mean that we're not going to be top of the league in under center play action anymore, under center plays, because we're running more of it, so we're going to fail more? Yeah, of course. So when you look at shotgun, a couple positives of shotgun. You run shotgun because basically where the quarterback is where he would end up on a drop back. So he's already where he needs to be to throw. He can scan the field easier and quicker, throw the ball. You can run read option out of the shotgun, which if you watch a Dallas Cowboys game against the Chargers, they did that. And then Dak scored a 25-yard touchdown run on 4th and 1 because they bit on the read option, and then he pulled it and then ran for a touchdown. You can run RPO, run pass option. You can run, zone runs. You can run gap runs. You can run anything out of shotgun, and you can run anything out of under center. It opens up everything that you do. Oftentimes, you can't, like you mentioned, you cannot succeed every single play. So shotgun run, stuff for no gain. Got it. It sucks, right? But then how many times did you hear me say, oh, there's another positive gain on the shotgun run. There's another positive gain. There's another positive gain. It works. It doesn't work. Just like under center works and it doesn't work. Things happen like that. We run more out of shotgun. And part of that is because it's better to scan the field and to make quick passes. When you run spread offense, you don't want to run under center because you want to have quick passes. So when you run shotgun, you're already where you need to be. You can, and one thing I will say, Josh is horrible at fakes, and so is the running backs. They don't sell any play action out of shotgun, even out of under center sometimes. And I will tell you this too. You can be horrible at running the football and linebackers will still bite on play action because they have to. That's how you get taught. I play linebacker. So the first thing is you always move a step forward because you got to play the run first, and then you backpedal. That's why whenever you see them do their drills, they run a step forward, and then they run back, and they throw the ball, whatever they do. So they're going to bite automatically unless they cheat. It's just an instinct where you're going to go forward first. So even if you can't run the ball, you can still run play action out of shotgun, and you can run under center play action. So just want people to understand that nothing's going to work 100% of the time. The tush push that the Eagles do is 98% successful. So it fails. And it's one of the most guaranteed plays in the league, and it still fails once in a while. So when you see the shotgun runs and it fails, that's okay because it's going to work again. And you can go under center, and we can always bring up how we're so great under center, but we don't run under center often. And if you start doing it more, then we'll start succeeding at it less because we're going to keep doing it more. I use an analogy with Mike. Mike's son plays flag football. Say he gets 3 targets in a game, he gets 3 catches. And then Mike's that one parent who complains of the coaches and, is like the rah-rah parent at the football games and complains to all the coaches and youth sports and stuff. And then the coach is like, okay, all right, Mike, leave me alone. I'll get your son the ball more. Next game, they throw him the ball 10 times. He gets 3 catches for 10 out of 10 targets. So he fails 70% of the time. Well, then we're going to be like, well, Mike's going to be like, well, what happened? He got the ball more and he's still not catching the ball. Like, what's the deal here? Because the more opportunity you have for success is the same amount you have opportunity for failure. And then more defenses will key in on it more. Because now they're like, okay, well, Dorsey's thinking we can run out of shotgun still, succeed once in a while, but then we always have that play action under center plays to go through because we don't do it as often. So they're game planning more for the shotgun stuff. And then now we can bring this out when we need it. If we just go under center, then that's going to get totally destroyed because that's how you don't think people watch film. You don't think these coaches are going to watch film and see, look how good the Bills are under center. Somebody's going to take that away soon. But good thing we can do other stuff as well. So that's my main point. And I know it's a big tangent stuff, but this is all built up, frustration and unnecessary blame and misunderstanding that people need to realize. Every place I go, Dorsey sucks, fire him. The running, we run stupid plays. The play calling sucks, and it's just think about it. Think about it for a second. Take a step back. Take a breath. If you can watch the film, watch it. If not, simply understand nothing's going to work 100% of the time or 90% of the time unless it's a tush push. Things don't always work out, and part of that is execution. So the play we could do the same tush push the Eagles do, right? But if we don't execute it like the Eagles do it, we're not going to succeed at it. So it doesn't matter who calls the play. I could call the play. Jonah could call the play. And if they don't execute it properly, is it Jonah's fault? No, it's the player's fault. So I get it. Dorsey's not completely free of blame, but it's as little blame as you could give to anybody because when it comes down to it, it's all execution. And if the players aren't executing, it's on the players. So sorry for that tangent, but to go back to who should be the second weapon, like you mentioned.
Oh, real quick, Sean, just wanted to throw in there if you want.
Hit the comments too if you need to.
Yeah, if you want an example of the tush push failing, think back to the Minnesota game last year. Josh Allen, we had just stopped the Vikings. Game was over, right? We just got to snap the ball twice. We were backed up at our 1-yard line. And Gabe Davis is behind them to kind of give him that push. And they fumble the snap. The most basic play in football, they fumble the snap. So tush push failed there. And like you said, Sean, things just aren't 100%. There's no play that's 100%.
And whose fault was that? Whose fault was that play, Mike?
No comment on that one, but it would be Josh. It has to be Josh in the center. They exchange that ball. I mean, that's all they do. They've been doing that all their life. So it's one of the two.
Exactly. But
one of those two.
So you can hit some comments, and then I'll get into my second player to step up, and then I got a question for you regarding plays and stuff.
I think we caught up other than some folks giving some college scores out there. I do want to say Matt Cheddar last year, I was telling people Josh Allen might be the best quarterback to ever play. That's kind of a bold statement. I think right now, if you had to ask me that, I think there's nobody current that is the best quarter to ever play. But if I was going to say somebody that is on target it would be Mahomes. And could Josh be that? Yes, but he's going to have to get some Super Bowls rings on those fingers. So
he's definitely number 2, but you want to know how he could be that?
Yeah.
Don't go 0-5 in overtime. Win the big playoff games, and when you have a chance to beat the Jaguars, don't stink. And then when you have a chance to blow out the Giants, get your team ready to play. Get your team motivated. When Gabe's fumbling the ball and when people are getting tripped, don't just sit on the bench and look at the tablet. Get people motivated, and that's what makes you a good quarterback. Because if he did all that stuff, he'd be better than Mahomes. The only reason why Mahomes is looked at as better than Josh is because he won Super Bowls and MVPs. I promise you, if Josh wins 2 Super Bowls and 2 Super Bowl MVPs and 2 regular season MVPs, and Mahomes doesn't win any more than he already has, Josh will be looked at as a better quarterback. And that's just how it is. But right now, he's not. But
I think I'm going to propose that a new position get added to a team, and it's the team motivator. And I think, Sean, if we were to hire you, contract you out on the sideline, and all your job is to go up and down that bench motivating people, think about it. I mean, people hire these teams hire social media directors now to push their brand out. Get a motivator on that sideline. Just that's your only job, going up and down the bench, and that alone. I'm telling you, even if you were a stranger, they introduced you. Of course, you're now going to be part of the team all the time. That get people going, man. You just need someone to do it, and you would think if Josh did that more, I mean, you would expect him to do that more, but he doesn't always do it. Let's see here. I don't know, Matt Cheddar. The Patriots are defeated opponent, knocked down over and over. They're standing there stunned. Will Bills delivered a knockout? We'll talk about that in a little bit. I think for me, it's a very similar situation to the game last week, right? And of course, now it's you got to worry always about the Patriots. I mean, we've kind of handled them in recent years, other than that hurricane wind game where Mac Jones only had to only throw the ball 3 times. He only completed 2 of those passes, and they beat us. But you never know. Like I said, I'm not predicting any big wins anymore because I don't know what flavor of this team I'm going to get until they start showing me some consistency. For me, Matt Chatter, I'm we'll see. It's a question mark for me. Do I think they'll win? I'll tell you in a little bit when we get to that portion of the show.
Matt Cheddar mentions, I'm not going to be getting 300 mil because that's Josh's job. And that's 100% true. And people say, oh, Josh isn't that type of guy. But you got to be, man. Like, imagine, so I'm going to go, I know it's high school, but I went to a school, I graduated with 28 kids. I played football with 19 kids. And in the summer, so people that know Syracuse, my division league, it's called sectionals. Our section was section 3. You play at the Carrier Dome for the finals. The whole summer, I had a big group chat with the 19 kids or whatever. I had people believing that we could actually make it to that and win. That was the ultimate goal every day. Road to the dome. We're almost there. Whatever. We weren't good. We had me and 2 other people who had varsity football experience. The rest of them were playing just to play, either to impress someone or just to get a letter on their jacket. But 85% of our team never played football before. But I still had these people believing that we could do it. That if you just work hard and you put all your effort into it and learn, that you could win. And, we didn't win any games. I ended up getting hurt 2 games before the season ended. But obviously this is kids. So when we started losing, I still kept trying to get people motivated. It got to the point where they're kids, they just didn't care no more, no matter how hard I tried. But these are grown adults who play a game for money and who can win a championship. This Bills team can win a championship. So when you got your quarterback, I promise you, if Josh was on the sideline like Diggs is, going down everybody like dapping hands, clapping, talking to these people like, hey man, I need you because I can't be Josh Allen without Gabe Davis. I can't be this. We can't move the ball unless this offensive line plays outstanding. I can't throw the ball well unless you guys are doing your job perfectly. And that gives people, you're not calling anybody out. You're just saying, I can't produce unless I have you guys behind me. You guys are, we're one breath. We're one heartbeat. It's not, as people say 111th, but it's one heartbeat, one team, one family. Fight like it, play like it. So when you got Josh sitting on the bench, it pisses me off. I know you got to look at where you messed up, That's why they go to the tablet. I know you have to do that, but don't spend the whole time there. Like when you throw a pick, look at the way you look at, you can see it in 2 seconds. Oh, you screwed up there. You could have went here. Boom, put the tablet down, start pumping up your offense on the sideline, start cheering on your defense. They're not going to hear you, but you got to do that stuff because people will respond to that. I promise you. I really do. I promise you if Josh did that, it would happen. And, you kind of saw what he did it in the Kansas City game when he threw that touchdown to Gabe Davis with 17 seconds left. He's pumped up, throwing his helmet, like screaming loud as hell. Like, do that all the time. Like, be that type of guy who can lead your team because you got a captain on your chest. Not just giving that to you because you're a good guy. Like, and if that's the only reason why you got it, and you're not, I don't know what's out in the building, but from what we see, you're not acting like a captain, and neither is Gabe Davis. So, show captains more about just being the title. When I was a captain in the sports, it meant a lot to me, and I know it's this little high school stuff, but it meant so much to me that I was a captain because I wanted to lead men or women, whatever sport I was playing. And it's a privilege, and it's an honor. It's supposed to be an honor because it means people trust you. People want you to lead them. So if he's just gets a captain on his chest and he's a funny guy in the locker room, does all the commercials, makes all the money, and then when it comes to game time, he just sits there, or when he does bad, he pouts, or like when I see him pout, I get pissed off and I get upset. The best player in our team is pouting. He's defeated. So what am I going to feel like watching it at home? And the players see that. The players are going to see, oh, he's pouting. But I don't get another tangent. I got to quickly answer my second option besides Diggs. So like you mentioned, Kincaid is a good one because he is open. He does have sure hands, and he's tall, and it's a mismatch for whatever position he's going to be playing against because he's either going to be playing against a third or a second corner or a linebacker. So I like for him to get looked at more because it's not the question of he's not open. It's a question of he needs to see that people are open and get them the ball more. And, Gabe Davis is a guy who's always been inconsistent, but who has such a huge potential. He has a great, when he can catch the ball, he can make exceptional catches. He can make, physical plays, but he just hasn't put it all together and been a true number 2 receiver. And it's frustrating. But I also agree with a guy like James Cook. Like Christian McCaffrey for years has been a second option and sometimes a first option. He's not Christian McCaffrey, but Cook is always open. They always use Cook as a hot route when he's not pass blocking, and he's horrible at pass blocking. But like you said, it could be a quick little, tap, flood out, and then throw him the ball quick, and he can make plays. He's good at catching, like Jessica Tennis says. Cook is almost always open. But does Josh need to have what? But does Josh need to have the bigger play? And that's a good question. And I think he still wants that in him. He still, always wants to end the game in one play. But he saw it in week 1, and you saw it too, Mike. Everything was working when we were going dink and dunk, dink and dunk, dink and dunk. As soon as he threw the ball 50 yards down the field, pick, and then we lost the game. So, but I'm gonna ask you this question, Mike. People have been saying we don't run the football enough. We don't run the football enough. And I know last game it was 29 runs, 30 passes. Like, what do you think people truly want when they say run the ball more when it was 50-50? Do you think people just want something to complain about in that aspect, or do you think we should run the ball 60+% of the time and take the ball out of Josh's hand?
Yeah, I kind of said that earlier. I think it's just people didn't realize we ran the ball that much. I didn't. When I got on the post-game show, that was one of the things I was complaining about. A lot of folks in the channel were. And now it's in my head embedded. I'm going to look at that before I start complaining. How much did we run the ball? And somebody could argue like 50-50 wasn't enough for that game. Obviously, you can change things up per game. So, no, I don't think they're necessarily looking to complain, but I think they're just maybe not looking at the stat line because 50-50 is pretty darn good for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, we don't usually run that percentage. So I think we ran plenty of times. I'd have to go back to look at other games. But I did like the fact that we got Murray involved early. and Cook. It seemed like Murray. I think Murray came out first, and he gets things going. He's the bruising back, still very fast. He's also a good catching back. I like to see them throw him the ball a little bit more early on. But yeah, to answer your question real quick, Sean, my thinking is if it's like me, I just missed the fact that we ran 30 times or 29 times, and I just focused on those few run plays that got stuffed. And of course, if you're going to run the ball 29 times, they're not all going to be 29 positive plays. I mean, look at the Giants, stuffed them except for two plays. Yeah. Except for two plays. But those are big. Like you give up 2 30-yard runs, it's going to hurt you. But for the most part of the game, we shut down Barkley, which was a pretty good, pretty nice job by the defense. So for me, Sean, I think it's just, I don't think people are looking to just, complain about something. Maybe they're just not seeing how many times we actually ran the ball.
Yeah, and
I don't know. I'd like to ask Jessica, what do you think, to answer to Sean's question? Because I think she was in the channel on our post game, and we were all kind of saying we need to run the ball more. We did kind of run the ball quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think what people think is like they see a couple run plays work, and then you go to a pass play and it doesn't work. But that's also great game planning because they're gonna if you run the ball like 3 times in a row and it works, they're going to think you're going to run the ball again. But when you go to a pass play and your offense doesn't execute and it doesn't work, then everyone's like, oh, why did we stop running the football?
Yeah, I saw a lot of that.
You got a $300 million quarterback who's the second best in the league. Like, that's why you keep passing the ball. Like, it's just.
Yeah, because you see it a lot of times, right? You'll see a 5-yard gain on first down. You're like, beautiful. Let's run it again. And then the throw happens. All of a sudden, you're in a 3rd and 5. And then, of course, if you have a penalty, you're even backed up more. So one of the other things you had asked earlier, what is another thing to get this offense going, is just manageable 3rd downs. I think that's so cliche that you say, but have manageable 3rd downs and not have 3rd and longs. And I think, like you said last week, it was like 3rd and out. We didn't score a touchdown. We didn't score any points to the end of the 3rd quarter. And in the Jaguar game, we scored near the end of the first half. So the team's just got to be quicker out of the gate. And I think this week they need to, really focus to just go down and get points on the board early and often, but especially early. Put something up there. Let's see.
That's huge.
What do you think about that, Sean? Those long runs because Bernard's inexperienced.
I think it was more than just that. I think it was just a mixture of Barkley's great, and then the other one was the offensive line actually had great blocking. And like going back to the film, they blocked everybody down, like every single player. Like the gap Barkley ran through this isn't that big compared to what it was, but this is like 3 feet, and the gap was bigger than that. This doesn't fit the camera, and Barkley's going to take advantage of that, and that was everybody's fault. Defensive line got blocked down, didn't beat their man, and then the linebackers got blocked down, which happens. You're going to lose a rep, but it's just he was a great player, and Bernard actually did have a lot of good plays, so did Williams, but like to her point, it was a little bit of him but everybody at the same time, because it wasn't just him that got blocked down in those big plays. It was it was a huge hole. I couldn't believe it because that offensive line was horrible. But they had a couple really great plays and it worked. And, but yeah, then she said the Bills had 3 nice run plays in a row in the first half. Dorsey called 3 pass plays and we had to punt. Yeah. And, for me personally, like the Jets are a run, pass team because they have a horrible quarterback. They're a run, pass. And that's supposed to work, right? For us, we should be running 1 out of every 3 plays. Because if you say you run the first time and you get 1 yard, don't run again. Don't run again. Pass. You have a better chance of passing. And you want yourself in 3rd and long plays, because when you're in a 3rd and long, you're in an obvious passing down. A 3rd and long is obvious passing down. If you're in 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, they don't know what they're going to do. And it's really just frustrating. It's just frustrating. And that's a perfect point. But Jessica mentioned Bernard did not shift the defense over enough to the left. You see, I hear that a lot. I do hear that a lot. And when I go back to my playing days, when the defense calls a play, when coach calls a play and the linebacker gets it, or whoever it is, whatever level you're playing, you know exactly where to line up. So defensive line, if say the play is whatever, and then the tackles are going to the A gaps and the ends are going to the C gap. You know exactly that before the play starts. So the only time a defensive lineman should be shifting is when the offense changed something. So it's not Bernard's responsibility on every single play to say, oh, yeah, over here now, over here now, over here now, only when things change, because the play call is a play call. If it's supposed to be a stunt where Ed Oliver hits the A gap and then Tim Settle comes around and goes up the B gap, that's what it's supposed to be. So if there is shifting that needs to be done, it's because something changed. So I'm not going to say that's always Bernard's fault, because what if that's just not what was supposed to happen? Maybe he wasn't supposed to shift the defensive line over. Maybe that was just a play design. Because even if he shifted the defensive line over, the offensive line still had great blocks, and they might not have made the play anyway. So I'm not going to put that all on him, because we don't know what actually happened. It's hard to really tell, because it shouldn't be every single play he's moving defensive linemen. Only when things change. And, it's like she said, it could have been McDermott telling him last minute, like, hey, do this, do that, which is possible, which is entirely possible, because it's the NFL. I didn't play in the NFL, so it's a hell of a lot different than the levels I played.
I would hope so. But I have a question for you, Sean. I have a question. So based on Jessica's comment there that we had ran the three times successfully, and then we threw the ball 3 times, and maybe that was dialed up by Dorsey, but isn't there the ability for Josh to audible if he sees a defense that he doesn't like? I'm sure they have to have a run audible that they can call, and that would be his call to make it. So do you think that's a possibility as well? I mean, maybe if Josh is looking at the defense is giving him, he feels like he's making that option, like, I'm going to go with the call or I'm going to audible off. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's how it's supposed to be, Mike. You would assume, because we've seen it before, Josh could read defenses. So when he, I have to, for Brett mentioned something that I don't know if it's 100% true, that 98% of the time that Cook was on the field, there's less than 8 men in the box. From the last 2 games, there's always at least 8 men in the box against us. So I don't know how true that is, but it's hard to run with 8 men in the box. And sometimes there was 9 men in the box, or 10. So that also explains why sometimes we can't run the ball, because it's just there's so much going on. So when that happens, your assignments all seem like they're difficult, because you got freaking 10 people where there's not supposed to be 10 people. So it's also just sometimes the play calls don't work. But Josh has every right to say, you know what? Like, because they mentioned it even with Tyrod. He audibled to run Saquon on a pass play with no timeouts left. Every play should have built-in stuff where you can get out of it, because that's what the point of it is because you're supposed to see something in the defense, change it if you need to, and then go from there. So if Josh sees 9 people in the box, and then you could spread out your if you're in a bunch formation because you're in a run play, and you could shift somebody out, and you got 1 safety and 10 people in the box, you can run two more people out, then the defense is going to get screwed up. But he doesn't do that. Does he trust the plays too much? Maybe. But I'm sure he has free reign. He's year 6 now. I'm sure he has free reign to say, you know what? I don't like this. I'm going to go out of this. I don't want to pass right here. I'm going to run. I don't want to run here. I'm going to pass. He knows every call. He knows everything in the playbook. He can say, all right, now you go here, you go to the line, you motion this way, you do this. Josh can do all that. So he's not. And, that's why he needs blame too for things not working out 100%, because him and Dorsey should always be hand in hand together, especially because this offense was built because of Josh Allen. Because people say it's the same playbook. It should be, because this is for the same quarterback. Dorsey has his own wrinkles. Daboll had his own wrinkles. Daboll liked to do quarterback draws. Dorsey doesn't. It's the same offense because Josh as the quarterback. You want to do what works for him. You don't want to do what doesn't work for him. So obviously, there's a lot of stuff's going to be the same. And I'm going to ask you this, Mike. People want more creativity. People want the Hardy play all the time, like something drawn up perfectly, genius-like all the time. Do you think maybe we don't do that because we haven't executed basic plays all season? What do you think?
I kind of agree that there should be a little bit more of it. I mean, we used to run it more often with McKenzie and others in past years. So I think a little bit more. I don't think it's because we're not executing on the other plays. And again, to me, I would love to see more of that. Early on when we had the 12 personnel, and we would slip those guys out for quick passes, kind of like quick screens, like they would chip off the edge. That's another reason why we would have such great pass protection this year when they were in that 12 personnel. But I think a little more chipping and getting out for those short passes. But as far as the gadget plays, honestly, KC does a fantastic job with that. But they only do it. I mean, they do put people more in motion. I think the Dolphins do it as well, more than most teams, and I think they're kind of geared for that. For me, I only want to see that maybe 2 to 3 times a game, and that's it. So, and I think we've seen at least 2 of them last week. I can remember the Khalil one, Shakir one. I remember that touchdown to Hardy, and yeah, pretty much. So I don't want to see a whole ton of those, Sean. Don't get me wrong. So just a couple's fine with me. So I don't think it's a case where we're not doing enough of that at all.
Yeah, and sometimes like even stick with Kansas City. They, Nick Wright always says they're practicing right now. They're not actually playing their season yet. They're just fooling around with teams. And you watch them play, and they try to run stupid fake field goals and ring around the rosy and all this bullshit, and it doesn't ever work. But, when you compare us to a team like the Dolphins, Hardy's fast, yeah. Hardy's not Tyreek Hill. Hardy's not Jalen Waddle. Hardy's not Raheem Mostert. Hardy's not Devon Achane. They're not that fast. They're not like that. They do that because they run a West Coast offense. We don't run West Coast offense. West Coast has a lot of motion to try to confuse defenses. So we could run in motion. We do it once in a while, but our offense is not like that. And, I get it, the creativity part, but at the same time, it's like, who on this team is like, I just don't see anybody on our team that's like worth being creative for, I guess. And I don't mean it like in a bad way. I just mean like nobody's a superstar besides Diggs. We just have a bunch of average people and it's like, why don't we just stick to what's been working for 2 years? We're a top 5 offense the last 2 years. Josh is a top quarterback almost every year. So, yeah, creativity will come, I think, but it's not something that we're going to do all the time.
Sean, I was going to say, if you're talking creativity as far as getting more people open, I think we kind of talked about that already. It does feel like, and I can see why people might be upset because it just feels like a struggle. Every drive for us is a struggle. We're used to the Bills of a few years ago, man. We're used to that 13-second game where you have 2 plays and it's a touchdown. You have 3 plays, it's a touchdown. Yeah. Now you're having to go 15, 16 plays, and it's a grind. And of course, that's how defenses are scheming us. But look at the Chiefs. It's been a similar situation for them. I mean, believe it or not, let me just give you something real quick. The Bills are scoring 28.8 points per game, and Kansas City's only scoring 24.5 points per game. So they're not lighting up the scoreboard either, and a lot of their games have been extremely close. So I think that's where when I say, oh, he's not getting people open, I think the defenses are just playing that bend but don't break, and it feels like a grind. So I think maybe people are like, there's just no creativity in this offense. And sure, there could be a little bit more, but like you said, when we talked about it earlier, Gabe's got to step up. He's got to step up, not only for him to get paid. I want to see Gabe get paid, obviously, but more so for the Buffalo Bills. And that will take pressure off of Diggs. That'll open up Kincaid And obviously Kincaid has to get in there as well. I don't think those are the top 3 guys, and then Cook out of the backfield. Get those guys involved more.
Yeah.
Like, what did Cook have last week? He had, let me just see here what he had receiving. What do you think he had last week? Receiving.
Cook for receptions?
Yep.
1, 2?
0.
No,
Not
he
even.
He had a catch.
Not even
Must
one.
have been a penalty then, because I remember he caught one up the middle.
Not even one target. And maybe if it was a target, it was a penalty.
Yeah,
how could a guy that you drafted for great hands not be catching something out of the backfield? That's just insane to me.
I agree. I'll read Jessica's last comment first, and then I got a point to make. But I have not seen a flea flicker in 2 years, or a pass to Josh, something unexpected. Kansas City does a shuffle pass to each game. They do, absolutely, and the Dolphins do it now too. One thing I will say is, I don't think a flea flicker's that creative, though. In my opinion, like we were doing that in high school and like modified and like pee-wee level. Like I don't think it's creative, but I think when we start doing stuff like that, we're just not that type of team. Like I can see us doing a flea flicker, and then Josh gets blown up or something, or we fumble the flick or something like that. I can just see the Bills doing that. They try to do a flea flicker. We couldn't do a simple. What was that play we tried? I always forget the name. The Jags game we tried where you pass it around. What's it called?
We pass it around.
Where someone catches the ball and you pass it to the next person. They keep trying to run and.
Oh, at the end of the game, you mean?
Yeah. There's a name for that. What's that called?
I don't know. It's a scramble. It's just like
whatever it is.
A hook and ladder. Hook and ladder, I think.
We couldn't even do a simple hook and ladder play in.
But that's a desperate play, Sean.
But they knew it was coming. Like they designed that. They designed that for when Diggs caught the football, and it doesn't work. Like we're just not the type of team that does things like that and can make it work. But let me pose this side of the coin for it. What is creativity? And what I mean by what is creativity, I'm not trying to sound like a big professor, philosophy person or whatever, but what if we do have a creative offense? It just doesn't look creative because the plays aren't getting executed properly. You know what I'm saying? Because you brought up the Kansas City game. We didn't do anything creative that game. Davis just ran posts and he burned people. Like it wasn't nothing that through Kansas City. We just beat them. It was just man on man. You got beat. It wasn't nothing creative. But yeah, she's a perfect out of the shotgun and handout. Absolutely. I just think like for us, we're not the type of team that can do that. We don't have a focus. Like something bad will happen if we did that. But what I'm saying is, could it be plausible, Mike, that this offense does have creativity, but we just can't notice it because it's not like a Kansas City creativity. Maybe we are creative, but Josh isn't going to the right people. Josh isn't letting the progressions go. He's not going through his progressions, or something goes wrong. Is that plausible too?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean,
Do you think it's likely? Do you think it's likely that it is we do have some creativity? It's just not the type of creativity people are expecting.
Yeah. If you're saying creativity is a flea flicker, it would be good to see that. I mean, usually teams use that maybe once a year, if I remember. And I don't see good teams using that very often. But, something like that would be nice once in a while. But I agree with you, Sean. I think there is some creativity going on. It just doesn't look like it because, obviously, our offense has been pretty poor lately. And, again, it just comes down to throw and cook the ball. I mean, 0 targets. Knox was targeted 6 times. Now, obviously, Knox had that huge drop. I know you put that more on Josh, but it's also on Dawson. And, so they're just not getting – I want to say this. Let me tell you about creativity. Here's creativity. Josh Allen to Quentin Morris. Creativity on the fly. I mean, we have one of the best creators on the fly. You don't draw this one up. Josh Allen, and I'm sure and I was talking to you, they have to practice this because it wasn't just Josh. Everyone gives Josh, oh my God, what a throw, blah, blah, blah. But if you watch Quentin Morris, the play was over for him. He realized it. And when Josh starts to run, they all know what to do. They're all going to try to get open. He made he was aware, kind of like Kelsey-like. He's like, okay, this play isn't going to work. And he went to the end zone, went right there, and then Josh put it right on the money. Creativity on the fly. I know they're working on that. So anytime Josh rolls to the right, we know it's Bill's Mafia delight. But those type of things, they know when Josh starts to roll, they've had to have worked on that to some degree. Like if I roll to the right, guys, and you would think that's talked about. So I think there's that type of creativity that we got to give him credit for. And you can't say it's all Josh Allen because those receivers know what to do. They know where to run. They know where Josh is going to be looking. So give them some credit as well.
Yeah, we got a great team, guys. I mean, the bottom line is that, and I think part of the issue is we expect so much from them. So when they have a game like this, we just think the world's falling. We expect them to get like 40 points a game. I would love that. I would really love that. But sometimes, like to me, it's just execution issues. And I get Jessica's point. Like throw a crazy, unexpected play in there. Absolutely, I think we could do that. But I don't think that if we didn't do that, we're not going to be a good offense. And I think maybe we would do that stuff in a big game like the Eagles, the Cowboys, like a game like that. I could see us doing something like that. But in a game like the Giants game where you're struggling and things aren't going your way, it's not the best recipe to do a play like that. Or the Jags game where you're down the whole time, trying to be like, it could also backfire. Because what happens if, like, just playing devil's advocate here, we do a pass play to Josh Allen, right? Josh gets leveled, head-to-head contact. He gets a concussion. He's out for 3 weeks. What are we going to say then? F Dorsey, fuck Dorsey. He should be off the tee. He should get him fired now. He got Josh killed. But we're all asking for that. So understand that we're not trying to have Cam Newton 2.0. We want Josh to be a quarterback for 15 plus years. And if he's running over linebackers, hurdling people, laying people out, going out for passes, stuff like that, we're not going to have him for that long. And he's going to deteriorate way quicker, just like Cam Newton did. Cam Newton should still be playing in the NFL right now. He could literally still be a quarterback and playing football. So, I mean, it's a hard thing for the coaches to play around. And, but yeah, I mean, I agree. Maybe throw one of those plays in once in a while. Not a Josh reception, unless it's in the end zone. But yeah, nothing wrong with a little flea flicker here and there. Get some jet sweeps with Hardy. Maybe Hardy's not a good runner. Maybe they've tried it in practice and they're like, it just doesn't work out.
He hasn't impressed me. He hasn't looked like lightning fast. He's supposed to be a little faster than McKenzie, I thought.
Yeah.
But hasn't really like impressed me, neither on a return game. And obviously they haven't given him an opportunity. He did have that nice long catch. I don't know, it was a couple games ago.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them throw it to him deep.
Yeah.
A little bit
like
more.
Hardy.
Use the speed.
Yeah. And I will say we did overpay for him. I do like Hardy though. I think he could be great. But people, they look at the year he had with the Saints. And he had one pretty good year offensively. He had 500 something receiving yards. He had 200 of those in one game. So what did we really expect? He's the third or fourth option. If he gets 400 yards, that'll be good. Like, I don't know. Let me check what he's at now. But if Hardy gets 400 yards, he's had a good season. He's not a first, second, or he shouldn't be the third option because Kincaid should be the third option. This guy's like a fourth or fifth option. So if he's getting 400 receiving yards as a fourth or fifth option, then that's pretty good.
That's a lot. That's too much, in my opinion, with the other guys that we need to be throwing the ball to.
Yeah, and like I said, I like Hardy. I think we could use him in a lot of Hardy's had 3 rush attempts for 2 yards. So we try to run with Hardy. It just doesn't work. And then he's got 12 catches for 103 yards and a touchdown right now. So, I mean, hey, nothing wrong with that, right?
Nope.
It's
not at all.
He's not a big option for us on our team. But yeah, I mean, give him some jet sweeps. Who cares? I mean, we've ran the ball with him 3 times. He's got 2 yards, but once in a while, throw a jet sweep in there. Why not? why not let him? And then, Josh needs to look to him more, get him in open space, throw him the football. Watch what he does with it. I just don't think Josh thinks like, he thinks Diggs, Davis, Kincaid, whatever. Like he's not like physically thinking like I have to look at every single receiver I have because I got to get everybody the football. It seems like he makes predetermined reads sometimes before the play. There is some design plays, quick passes, but people say we got to get into a rhythm. Why do you think we do short passes? To get into a rhythm. So if they don't work out, they don't work out. It's just how it goes. But Jessica mentions those who did that to Cam Newton are running the Bills offense now. They were not creative enough for Cam Newton and resorted to run Newton up the middle again and again. Shula and Dorsey. Dorsey doesn't run. I think he learned his lesson because he doesn't run Josh up the middle that much anymore. And Dayball did. That was a big thing between McDermott and Dayball. And Dayball does it with Daniel Jones, and he gets Daniel Jones killed. And he's never going to go away from that. He wants to do that and run his quarterbacks into the ground. We don't want to do that no more. And, Cam Newton, like I said, if he didn't do all that stuff, then he'd still be playing today. And I think if Dorsey is calling the plays then, I know McDermott was a defensive coordinator. I don't know where Dorsey was with them. But if he was calling the plays for him, I think he learned his lesson because that was a big emphasis on we're not going to let Josh take all these design run plays. And I like that. Now, Josh has to understand you can still be a hero. You can still be a hero without running over linebackers. If you see an opening, take it. If it's not there, throw the ball away. Like there's been at least 4 times we've seen him run. He had an open lane for a first down or a few extra yards, and he overthrows the ball. Like, just take it. Take it and slide. You get a field goal maybe, or you get better punt. I don't know. But, yeah, we're going to be fine. I know it seems like we're 3 good offensive scoring games, 3 bad ones, but look around the league. And if you want to do it, I only did one team. Go to every single team, take out their 3 best games, and then see where they average. Like, obviously, it's going to change because I'm not going to put on blast whoever said that. But if you're going to take out our 3 best games, take out everyone else's 3 best games, and then see where we stack up.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned without taking away the Chiefs' best games, they average 24 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
You take away their best games, they average 18. So they're pretty much around their average. We average 28 points a game. You take our best games away, we average 16. 16 and 18s, obviously it's a couple point difference, but those are 2 great offenses, 2 great quarterbacks, the 2 best quarterbacks in the league. Take away, look at Joe Burrow. You take away the Cardinals game, and they average like 1 point a game. Like they got 3 points twice. They got 17 last game. They got 30 the other game. Like they're not doing good either. It just happens sometimes.
You know what the Patriots are averaging points per game?
10.
12 points per game, man. And they're right ahead of the Giants, who are averaging 11.8. So my goodness, that's crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of the Patriots.
Yeah, let's get into the Patriots because we're a bit into this game. Sean, can we put it out there? Like we're going to talk about the trade deadline coming up October 31st. I know that was as part of our schedule here.
Yeah, Brett, get ready with your guys.
But and again, not just guys too, like because there's plenty of guys out there you can go crazy. Like we should trade for Devontae Adams or something crazy. But what I want to ask the channel, and we'll get to this whenever you feel to bring it up, so that they can start thinking about it. If you're Brandon Beane and you're making a move for the October 31st deadline, what's the position you're focusing on? Let me know.
Yep.
So back to you, sir.
Just mentioned the Dolphins have played the easiest schedule in the league right now. Yeah, I mentioned that I think before you came in. They played 0-6 Panthers, us, the 1-5 Broncos, 1-5 Giants, 1-5 Patriots. So, and the 2-3 Chargers. So yeah, they might be high and mighty right now, but we all seen the Dolphins dolphin. It could change. It could start changing on Sunday.
We could be in first place again. They play the Eagles, a fired-up Eagle team that lost the tough game to the Jets. Yeah. So could be in first place again. So we're all Eagles fans this Sunday.
Yeah. Well, Mike, quickly, Not yet, Brett. We're going to talk about the injury report, then we're going to go into a couple keys to victory, and then we'll have fun with the last few minutes and do trade stuff. But Mike, I don't know if you could pull it up or if you just want to read it out.
I'll read it out.
You can start with ours first.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big list, but I'll go down who's on the injury report, and what their status was as Friday. So Josh Allen, he's been a full practice with shoulder, so expect him to play. Obviously, Spencer Brown, good to see, with a knee, full practice. Kyrie Elam was limited practice, but they don't have him listed as questionable, so I think we're good there. AJ Epinesa was a full practice on Friday. Damian Harris, as we know, is out with the neck/concussion. Dane Jackson was a full practice. Great. Kincaid, full practice. Knox, full practice. Cam Lewis did have a full practice on Friday. They do have him listed as questionable. Of course, the big one's Ed Oliver. He is out with a toe injury. And Quentin Morris, surprisingly, didn't realize he got hurt last week, but he's out. So it's good that Kincaid's coming back if Morris is going to be out. And then Rousseau, full practice. He's back. That's big. On the Patriots, Belichick.
Just read the people that are out because they got 45
I know.
people.
Belichick, that's what I'm going to say. He's famous for putting everyone on his team. For years, he's done this. Almost everyone on his team is listed. So I'm not going to give, because almost everyone's questionable. I'll give you the 3 outs. Riley, I hope I say his name right, Riley Reef, Josh Uche, and David Andrews.
Wow.
So
David Andrews is out too?
No, not Andrews. Sorry. It was Keon White. Keon White, Josh Uche, and Riley Reef.
And they're already out.
Yep.
They're already out. Matt Judon and Christian Gonzalez.
Correct.
Their 2 best defensive players. And then now Uche's out. So their best edge rushers are done. So this should be a pretty good
should be
game.
no excuse, Sean, but we said that against the Giants, man.
Yeah, I will say, though, they are a division opponent. And you never know. But should be a game that we dominate. I will say that. But I do want to say, just for fun real quick, Kincaid is only 4 receptions behind Davis for the second most on the team. And he missed last game. So, also, I mean, Kincaid only has 118 yards. So that's just – but he's turning into the second option. It's just got to get looked at a little bit more. But, yeah, so, a couple keys to the game for me. My opinion, they haven't been able to run the ball quite well. Their offensive line has been one of the worst, if not the worst in the league. So, in my opinion, they don't have any world beaters on offense. Kendrick Bourne's their best receiver. I would say sell out on the run, stack a box, run a lot of 3 linebackers, or bring run dime packages and bring Rapp in, or let Teron Johnson play more of like a linebacker type and heavy hit the run and let Mac Jones beat you, who, again, you mentioned, their offense averages 12 points a game. So stop the run, because Ramondre Stevenson is a good running back. He has beaten us before, and Harris has beaten us. But sell out for the run and let Mac Jones beat you is one key to the game. Second key to the game for me is something you already mentioned. Spread the ball out. Josh has to go through progressions. And then thirdly, simply enough, tackle well. As always, continue to tackle well and get pressure. Get pressure on Mac Jones, interior pressure, because he's not mobile. So this could be a big game for sacks. So, Mike, I'll throw it to you for a couple keys to victory.
Yeah, so, I don't have much different than you do, but I will say that the Patriots, even though with their struggles, have been very good on third down on defense. Their defense gives up third down completions or third downs just 37% of the time. So if you get the Bills into third down, Bills make their third downs 50% of the time. So I think there's a big battle right there. If they can keep the Bills to those 3 and outs, and the Bills continue to struggle early on, you give those Patriots confidence. It's sort of like the Giants. We let them in that game, and then boom, the Giants have, we can beat these guys. And we can't do that in this game. So I think keys for me, that's going to be an interesting battle. I just wanted to mention that. Their defense
Great point.
has been great on third downs, and so is our offense on third down. So that's going to be a key battle there. But for me, it's just like you said, they are going to have to run the ball. And as Jessica said, Stevenson. Although what's interesting on the injury report, they don't even show Stevenson practicing Thursday or Friday. When I see that it says,
did not practice?
Well, it doesn't say DNP. They just don't have any status, at least on the Bill site, for what he did on Thursday and Friday. But they also don't have him listed as questionable. So I think he's a play there. So I think they're gonna run the ball. They're gonna have to slow the game down and keep it as low. I mean, they're gonna obviously try to score more, but they know it's going to be rough to score on the Buffalo Bills defense. Yeah. And for us, it's just keeping those third downs manageable, and scoring early. Let's not wait 3 quarters to score in a football game. Let's not wait to the end of the second quarter to score in a football game. We got it. And I saw somebody say, if the Bills were to receive the ball, I was watching some other shows. I support all the Bills channels out there. And I saw somebody say that if the Bills win the toss, that they should take the ball and go down the field. I kind of disagree. I mean, as bad as the Giants, the Giants last week, and then the Patriots have been, we just talked about the points. I think you kick the ball and you hope for an early stop, and then boom, you start taking control right there. But it's interesting. I'm curious, if you would, do you agree with that philosophy? Let's take the ball. If we win a toss, let's take it, go down, score quickly. My fear is if we don't, that backfires on you. So I would say stick with what all teams are doing. I haven't seen a team yet, at least the games I watch, win the toss and say we'll take it. So
yeah, and I agree with you. I'm more of a take the ball in the second half, but then I start thinking, where do we have more tone setters? And on defense, we have more tone setters. So I want the tone to be set during the game. So, or in the beginning of the game. So then you got the defense coming out there against a bad offensive line, a bad offense. You get a couple big plays, big sacks. Everyone's pumped up, and then the offense can get pumped up on the sideline, and you should have your leaders like Josh and Gabe and Diggs and Mitch Morris, who are all captains. Get everybody pumped up and let's get the fuck out there and score a touchdown. Then boom, touchdown. Then stop, boom, and then you get the ball in the second half, boom, it's 35-0. Like, it could go like that. But I will say, a lot of people look at the last 2 Patriots games, the Dallas and the Saints game, and they got blown out 34-3. Oh, they lost 30-0. They had a couple pick sixes and a fumble. I think Dallas had a pick 6 and a fumble 6. And then the Saints had a couple defensive touchdowns too. So their defense isn't typical Patriot defense. They're missing a lot of their key players, but they're still fighting. Imagine, even the Giants team, last year they had a great defense, but their offense is so bad this year that their defense is always on the field, just like typical Buffalo Bills back in the day, right? In the 2000s, we had a top 5 defense basically, but the offense was so bad that defense would get, after the third quarter, the defense would start giving up a lot of points. But we were pretty much shut down for a while, and it's just what happens. So, and then the defense played great against us, and it didn't play great, and the game was what it was. So,
yeah, Sean, another key that I should have mentioned is turnovers. Right, we had 2 turnovers, and the Giants stayed clean, and that'll always keep you in the game. If the other team's got 2 turnovers, and think about those 2 turnovers, we were driving. Right, the Gabe Davis fumble and the interception, we were on the other side of the field. We were driving. You get those drives, you get at least 6 points. Let's say you got 2 field goals out of those, and then we've had 2 52-yard field goals missed. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I put that a little on Bass. I would expect 1 of 2. Both of them were 52-yarders. But you put all those points together, next thing you know, we're over 20 points in that game. So turnovers, always huge for any type of game. And that's how you keep a bad team in a game. You have more turnovers than them. And that could always get you in big trouble. So good stuff. Timmy, good to hear that the Sabres won. I was worried about that. Thank you for the update. Agree, Jessica. Defer. Yeah, always defer. Especially with our defense and their offense. let's pin them back, let's get that ball, and then boom, just take it down. And
I don't think there's ever a time where I would take the ball first.
Yep.
Like I think it's always better to
maybe wind. Maybe if there's a big wind favoring one, that would be the only time.
Change in wind direction, but even if we don't get a turnover, just like we should be able to stop this team in 3 plays. Like as soon as they try to pass the ball, sack, or I mean, people said the Giants had bad receivers. The Patriots really have nobody, and part of that's because they don't have any blocking. I mean, their offensive line has been absolutely atrocious, and I mean, Juju's okay. He won a Super Bowl with Mahomes. He did pretty good with Mahomes. Kendrick Bourne's a max big target. So if Benford, everyone says Benford's great and he deserves a cornerback 1 spot, let's see it. You got a favorite target in Kendrick Bourne, lock him up. If you don't, I want everybody to keep the same energy they keep for Kyer. If Benford's out there getting beat by Kendrick Bourne, I want to hear everybody saying the same stuff about him like they did with Kyer, because I think it's a little bit unfair. But I think we'll be fine. But I'm not going to give a score prediction. We should win. We should dominate. But if we don't dominate and we score 20 points and we still win the game, you got to remember sometimes it's just things don't always go how you want them to. And if we can win those games that we look ugly in, I don't like that. I don't like it at all. But it's got to win. You just got to win, and then we could talk bad about the team after we win. Because I'm not a big wins and win guy. I hate that, because it's not about wins and win. But you got to figure out multiple ways to win. So if we're not looking good and we pull out a win like against the Giants, sure, deep down I'm like, great, we won. But there's a lot of things to talk about. But I think this isn't going to be a week like that. I think it's going to be a week where we finally get it all together again. We get back on playing great offense. And, hey, I mean, Mike, I don't know about you, but I've heard a lot of people say you don't want to play your best ball in the beginning of the season. So now why is everybody so angry that we're not playing our best football, right? So if that's how it's supposed to go, we got to play our best ball at the end. Let's understand more that right now, we're not playing our best ball, but everybody wanted their best ball later. So this is a perfect time, week 7, to start turning around the corner, because last year it was week 6 where we started playing bad. So now let's turn it around and start playing good in week 7 and score 30 points a game and look great on offense and execute and not drop the ball and look through our progressions and not fumble and not throw interceptions and, great. But
good teams win. Good teams win ugly. Bad teams find a way to lose. So I like we're 4-2. I've said it like last show. We're going to be 7-3 at least. That's still what I'm holding to. Yeah. And you're
hopefully absolutely 8-2, baby.
Yeah, hopefully 8-2. Yeah. And you're absolutely right, Sean. I mean, we came out of the gate blazing last year. I mean, it was like Super Bowl. This is the team. Everyone was like, easily Bills got it. Knocked out the champs
week 1, Mike. You were there.
And then after the Green Bay game, things just went downhill from there. So again, off to a slow start. We do have a new offensive line. They've been together now 6 games. Fantastic. They've been doing fantastic. They're only going to get better. So yeah, like what you're saying there.
And I did promise everybody you can have your fun trade talks, but I will go back to what Jess said. We have no cap, and I've been on record saying great teams always make moves. I've been saying that for years. But now it's too late. We should have did this last year or the year before. Now we're too late. We're too far in. We're kicking the can down the road too far. And do you want to end up like Miami, who they're already negative $35 million in the hole? They still have to pay their best defensive tackle. They have to pay Jalen Waddle. They have to pay Jalen Phillips. They have to pay who's that? Their right guard. They have to repay Connor Williams, their center. They have a lot of people to pay. They have to make hard decisions after this year. And then Tyreek Hill might not play for 3 more years. It's tough. Tyreek Hill makes $35 million a year. You can't pay Jalen Waddle $30 million a year. That's what he's going to want. So,
but let me ask you this, Sean, because I always think I know the cap, right? But they always seem to be able to do things outside the cap they work magic. We always say that. We've seen them sign Von Miller to some crazy number where we apparently didn't have cap, but he signed for some big money. But I want to ask you, all that aside, I agree with you. We're probably not going to make a move because of that. But if you were going to be looking, what position are you targeting? Where do you think we need some help? Where does the channel think we need help if you are to go target and make a move?
Me personally, you think about like where we lost key players. D tackle, we're good. Linebacker, Milano's coming back next year, and you got Bernard. So if you get a good player, you either got to get rid of Milano or get rid of Bernard, and you don't want to do that. So you'd either rent someone and waste draft capital and rent someone, and I don't think that's a good idea either. I think corner for me is the best option because I think Trey's done. I mean, 2 big major injuries in a row. I just don't see, like, I don't know. We'll see. And then, I mean, Jackson's on his last year of his contract. Kyer's whatever he is right now. And then Benford, I mean, he's okay. He's okay. But I will say, just to bring up conversation, Gabe Davis is in a contract year, right? And I mentioned how I don't think there's – I think I saw this somewhere, and I think it's still true. No team has 2 wide receivers making more than $20 million a season, a year. Gabe Davis might want $20 million a year. So if you're the Bills and you're not going to sign him again, do you trade Gabe Davis at the trade deadline for a player maybe or a player in a late round pick because you're not going to re-sign him, you're just going to let him walk for nothing? Or do you see if he'll take a team-friendly deal? Or what do you think? I mean, obviously you don't want to get rid of him, but if you know for a fact you're not going to re-sign him, and you could do like a trade like Brett says, you want Hunter Renfrow, right? You could trade Gabe Davis for Hunter Renfrow and a 5th-round pick. Because you're not going to re-sign Gabe Davis and Hunter Renfrow is not going to be $20 million a year. Would you do something like that? Or do you just say, nah, we'll keep Gabe and then see what happens, and if we let him go, we let him go?
Yeah, I'm with that because, first of all, whoever was to come in would have to learn our offense. It's not just plug and play. And Gabe's been with us for a long time and knows his offense very well. And we know what we're getting with Gabe. So I'm sticking with the last part of your question there. I'm staying with Gabe, and then we'll deal with it at the end of the season. And if I am making a move I threw that question to you. If I am making a move, I probably agree with you. It's going to be corner. It's going to be some corner, some, somebody I can get who's maybe a veteran. I don't want any, no one's going to give up one of these top corners, but there's some decent guys out there that may be willing to, or their teams may be willing to trade. Yeah. So that would be the position I'd go after. I'm not going to throw out names like Brett was. Yeah. But anyhow, because you can just throw out so many names for teams that are playing bad that may want draft capital for next year. Maybe they're willing to part with some folks, but that's who I'm targeting.
And I'm not saying trade Gabe Davis. I'm just saying, imagine if we traded Jermaine Edmonds instead of letting him walk. We could probably got a 1st-round pick because people think he's so good. You know what I mean? He got paid. The Bears paid him the biggest contract in middle linebacker history. And he stunk, in my opinion. He didn't do shit for our team. He did not move the needle for us at all. And you can see now. As you can see now with our linebackers that we got now. We could have traded him for something because you knew you weren't going to sign him. You weren't going to pay him $18 million a year.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so like Brett says, Gabe's value is around $12 million right now. That's good. That's fair. I re-signed him for $12 million a year. But if he wants $20 million, he needs to take a hike. Go find it somewhere else. And we appreciate you and we hope you do well. But
I just think it's too much. Yeah, too much of a disruption at this early in the season. So, and I don't think bringing anyone else in, unless they're a superstar like Devontae Adams, who made some amazing deal. Okay, cool, I'm all for that. But that would have to be some really crazy magic by Bean.
Right, and guys like Adams, he is a plug and play player. I know, people say our offense is tough, but a guy like Adams, you could put him in the game next day. I mean, because people forget Look at McCaffrey. Look at Baker Mayfield. He played quarterback. He signed with the Rams the day before he played in the game, and he won a football game. Like, I don't want to hear, like, we can't do that with certain people. But to your point, there's some people who can't do it. So I would like, if we are to make a move, get a player who is plug and play. And Jess says, if we're not a playoff team, yes, trade Gabe, but we are. No, absolutely. I'm just saying, like, if you know he wants $20 million a year, would you think about trading him because you're not going to pay him $20 million a year? But if he's getting 12, if you offer him $12 million and he'll take that, then I'm all for it. I'm just saying, like, sometimes you got to get something for somebody. And but yeah, I'm not saying definitely trade him. I'm just thinking in the fact that if he made $20 million.
Good conversation, for sure.
Yeah, no, great point. And then like, man, I don't know, JC Horn. It's just tough because the Panthers are so bad. It's hard to tell, like, are they bad? Is JC Horn bad because he's on the Panthers or what? And then Hunter Renfrow, I think we got enough weapons on offense. You just got to look their way. So I'm not really fine with him. And then, like you mentioned, Mike, people think it's genius what Brandon Beane does. Go over to the Dolphins and ask about Chris Greer. He does what Beane does, and they're in a shithole right now because he kept kicking the can down the road. So when we signed Von Miller, my buddy called me. You remember Bootsy, right? The Steelers fan. He called me freaking out, screaming like, "You signed fucking Miller, dude!" I'm like, "What are you talking about, bro? We have like $5 million in cap, but we didn't do that shit. What are you talking about? Stop playing with me." And we signed him. But what we did is we give him like $1 million, and then you give him 50, and then you give him 40, and then what we did was we guaranteed him 3 years up front, and then the last 3 years aren't guaranteed, so we can get off the contract. So you do stuff like that. You kick the can down the road. And then when Beane's gone one of these days and McDermott's gone, the next GM's going to be screwed because the cap's going to be shit. And then we're going to be screwed. So to me, it's not genius. It's just prolonging the inevitable. So eventually this is going to bite us in the ass. It already is biting us in the ass now.
Well, let me just say, Sean, like, if you kick the can down the road, but you get a Super Bowl this year or next year because of that move that you did, I'm good. I've waited way too long. Most Western New Yorkers have waited way too long. Most Buffalo Bills fans would. I'm one of those folks, like, you win me a Super Bowl. Look, the Rams won it 2 years ago. And look what happened. Kind of fell.
That shit.
Right. So I know, but they've won, and now they haven't really been competitive the last 2 years. I'm cool. I'm still celebrating. I win a Super Bowl this year, next year, because we go after Devontae Adams and Beane just kills us for the future. But we get that Super Bowl. I'm happy. I'm good.
For sure. But if that's how Beane thought, why didn't he get his guy Christian McCaffrey?
I don't know.
Why didn't he sell it all for Christian McCaffrey last year?
Do not know. Maybe Christian had something to say about that.
You knew Christian McCaffrey. I mean,
you want to go play in the warmth of Northern California, or you want to play in that cold? That's gonna and same money. I don't know.
Hey, I think if we had Christian McCaffrey, we won a Super Bowl by now.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
So that's just my thing. Is like, yeah, we signed Von Miller, we got Diggs. Those are all off-season moves. He's never done like the big Christian McCaffrey type shit. And if you did that, I agree with if we did that and we won the Super, like the Rams did it when they got Von Miller. They got Von Miller halfway through the year and they won a Super Bowl. Like, it happens. They make those big, like, game-changing moves. And, if we got Christian McCaffrey, man, could you imagine Christian McCaffrey, Stephon Diggs, and Josh Allen? Like, wow. And they didn't even get a first-round pick for him. The Panthers didn't even trade a first-round pick for him. It was 2 seconds and a third, I think, and a fifth. We could have did that.
Our luck, he would have played and got hurt. That's just our luck.
It's a chance, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there like that this year that I know. He's a warm weather back. Well, yeah, well.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, in the event of, like, is it worth kicking the can down the road? What we're doing now is not worth kicking the can down the road. But if you got a guy like McCaffrey, hey, you got your ring, awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, I
want to ask everyone in the channel, if we were to win a Super Bowl And because of the cap, whatever happened, and all of a sudden we had to disperse the team.
Years.
The team had to just be dismantled, and it took us another 5 years to get competitive. Are you okay with that? I sure am.
Part of me is, but then think about Josh's prime. Like we have Josh Allen. Hopefully,
well, because of Josh,
years.
I think even with a lesser team, we could still be competitive. I don't know.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like say we won the Super Bowl and we were like the Rams, so we won the Super Bowl, then we go 4-13 next year, and then we still I don't know. I just feel like,
oh man, we don't have to dismantle the team that much, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I just feel like I think the reason why Bean doesn't do that is because he knows that we have a lot of years with Josh. I think if he knew, all right, Josh is in his last, he's going to start declining. He's not that good anymore. We'll go get a Matt, just what the Rams did. They went and got Matt Stafford. Okay, Matt Stafford's got a couple years left in his career. Let's go sell out and get all the players that we need. But because Josh is so good, we could be competitive for 5+ years. So I think that's what's holding him back from doing that big move.
You can be competitive, Sean, but I mean, it's all about winning the Super Bowl. And if you're competitive every year, but you're not winning it all, what does it really mean? Yeah, we're excited. They entertain us, but they break our hearts every year. So I don't know. And with the NFL, you're getting so good. Every team in the NFL, it is hard to win a Super Bowl. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, and that's why I was saying we should have did it last year and the year before that, when it was only between the Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs for the AFC. Mike, I was telling Brett on our weekly pick show, I think, out of the 16 teams in the AFC, 12 of them are 500 or better. 12 out of 16. So any of those 12 can make the postseason and win the Super Bowl. This is tough. Last year it wasn't like that. Last year was Bills, Chiefs, Bengals. Year before that, Bills, Chiefs, Bengals. Year before that, Bills, Chiefs. That's it. And now we're in a spot where it's Dolphins, Texans, Jags, Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens, Browns, Steelers. It doesn't end.
Yeah,
so
I know.
But now we're too late because we have nothing. We don't have – we got a bunch of draft picks, but Bean's going to use those to move up in the first round again and skip someone we shouldn't skip, give draft picks to AFC teams, and then pick a guy that isn't going to be who we think he is. Twice. He did that twice in a row. 2 years in a row. So if you guys got any more people to throw in for trade targets or just to have fun, throw them in, and we'll wrap it up here and get out of here. Beans released that practice squad. Any chances Bills grab them? I don't know. No need.
No, I don't think so. I honestly think he's washed up. I'm serious, man. I mean,
that's Mike's ruthlessness right there.
He's been with a couple teams since he left Buffalo. He came back to us last year. Looked a little rough. No, we have other guys. We have younger people. I want them out there, and I want Kincaid. I don't want Beasley coming in stealing any balls to Kincaid because they compared him, a bigger Beasley, a guy who can catch the ball, because that was the thing, right? You throw it to Beasley, he had those beautiful hands. Kincaid has that. So let's go to that bigger guy, that younger guy, and even that faster guy, Kincaid.
All right. Well, Mike, let me ask you a question real quick, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
So people say stuff like Dorsey doesn't get these guys open. Dorsey doesn't, play to the strengths of his players. You think he's dumb? Do people really think he's dumb or something? Because you don't think he wants to get his players to football? You don't think he wants to look good? You don't think he wants to be successful? You don't think he wants to have the best offense in the league? You don't think he wants a head coaching job?
He wants a head coaching job, yeah.
He's not going to sit there and be like, yeah, man, Kincaid, he's 6'5", he's fast, he's got great hands, he's great in the middle of the field. I'm going to not do that purposely. So screw Kincaid. Hardy, he's fast as fuck, great hands, good route technician. Fuck him. I'm not going to get him the ball. Just digs. He doesn't do that. That's not how it goes. Man, it's just really frustrating.
Did I hear correctly? Again, I was watching another show. Did I hear that McDermott in a press conference kind of called out on Dorsey a little bit, or at least the offense? Did you catch any of that, or anyone in the channel? I think I heard that he basically said something, at least, that they got to get it figured out. Pretty much what you would expect from a coach. I mean, put a little pressure on your coordinator, and your coordinator, what's that going to do? I'm going to put pressure on my quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just, it's not just a signal to Dorsey. It's Josh and Dorsey, because they are the keys to that. And it's the rest of the offense too. You have to execute, but it starts at the top on the offensive side of things. And that's Dorsey and Josh.
That's perfectly said, Mike. And I forgot who I was talking to, but it was on a show. And I mentioned, it might have been when the guys were on the summit and I was talking about being vocal, with people, I guess. And, Brett brought out like calling out players, and I don't think he meant it like that. But McDermott did exactly what I was trying to, and what Brett was trying to say, I think, too, is the offense is having problems. He's not going to say, yeah, Ken's got to get it the fuck together. He says the offense needs to get it together because it's Josh's fault. It might be a little bit of Dorsey's fault, and it's the receiver's fault. It's the, whatever's fault. And he's calling everybody out as a collective, which is a good leadership skill. He's letting them know, you guys have to get it together, not Josh, it's your fault. Or like what a lot of the fan base does, Dorsey sucks at calling plays. It's Dorsey's fault. And I mean, look what our fan base has done. You bug people who are beat reporters to ask questions like, do you want a new offensive coordinator? Like, what the hell is wrong with people? Like, you're going to piss off. You think McDermott wants to answer that shit in the middle of the year when you have great offense 2 years in a row? Like, you tell these people that work with Buffalo, say this shit in a press conference. Say this shit. Like, this is stupid. Don't make these people ask these questions like, do you want a new offensive coordinator? Have you thought about making a change of offensive coordinator? If I was McDermott, I would have been like, what a fucking dumb question. Like, horrible. You want to call plays? Yeah, come on, whoever you are, you can call plays for a day.
Some coaches would say that.
Yeah, and they should. And
some coaches would. McDermott's a little more. He's a little calm.
Yeah, McDermott was mad, and he should have been.
Yeah.
But it's offense as a whole. Dorsey, he takes blame because he's the coach. Josh takes blame because he's not getting the receivers the ball. He's not making great reads. He's not going through progressions. But it's also Dorsey's fault because he's not telling Josh. He might be. That's the thing. We don't know. Yeah. He could be telling Josh, you fucking moron. You missed fucking 3 people wide open and it could have been a touchdown. What are you doing, bro? Come on. And then Josh could be like, yeah, I got it next time. Like, we don't know that exchange between them. So I'm going to unfairly assume that I'm putting blame on Dorsey for not telling Josh the reads are there. Let the play develop. You have a great offensive line. You can hold the ball for 2.5 seconds instead of 2 seconds and make a read. So I'll put that on Dorsey. I think 20% of it's on Dorsey. 40% of it's on Josh, and the other 40 is on the receivers not executing and catching the ball and fumbling and all that stuff. But McDermott did the right thing. He didn't call anyone out specifically. He just said they got to get it together. And he's right. 14 points against the Giants is not that good. 20 points versus the Jags, and most of it came in the fourth quarter. 20 points is not, it's not great, but you can win games scoring 20 points. Look at the Jets. And Oliver and Morris are out. So, that'll be interesting. But, Great show, Mike. I could go for hours and hours and hours and hours. But I know you gotta get to dinner with your son, and my wife's probably trying to sleep. So, final thoughts, Mike.
I like that McDermott said something because look, McDermott took on 2 roles. He head coach, and he took on the defensive coordinator role, and we are all worried about that. And he's done, in my opinion, a fantastic job with the defensive side of things. And if he's doing all that, and your offense is just kind of struggling, I'm gonna be having some serious conversations. And of course, to the press, he's just gonna say something like he said. That offense, he's answering a question. Yeah, that offense needs to get it going. I'm sure behind closed doors, he's getting even a little rougher with that conversation, little harsher. But yeah, so closing thoughts. We should win this game. We should win this game handily. I said that against the Giants. I also said I'm taking score predictions out of my segment. You could do a score prediction. You can ask everyone. I don't care what you do, Sean. I will say this. Here's my prediction. The Bills will win by 1 or more points. There you go. See? The Bills will win this game by 1 or more points. That's all I can tell you.
Matt Chatter asked quick, is Ty Johnson playing? Probably, but he might not get much snap count.
Let me see here. Was he? I think someone said he was elevated.
He's elevated. It just depends because I don't know if he's going to do kick return or not. I think we should have 3 running backs just in case, but we'll see. But yeah, Mike. I mean, it's a big game because this is a Super Bowl. Like I don't know if I mentioned that on my Ruthless shows or my own personal shows, but every week is a Super Bowl. That's the way you have to look at every single game. So players, like for the players, because this is a tough season. We didn't even get – this was the easy part of our schedule, and we're 4-2. So it's going to get tough. The road's going to get tough. So every week is a Super Bowl. We won a Super Bowl last week. We got revenge against the Giants for the 90s. We got another Super Bowl under our belt. And people might think, oh, that's stupid. Like, you didn't win no Super Bowl. In the mindset of that's the goal and every game is just as important as the next, the most important game is this one, treat it like a Super Bowl. You better treat it like a Super Bowl. I'm not saying like Super Bowl 57, we already got it. I'm just saying week 7 Super Bowl, let's win this Super Bowl. Then you go to the next one next week. You have to play with high stakes because you've seen it. We can lose this game and the season could be over just like that. And 4-3, the season doesn't look over, but in the grand scheme of it all, it could be. It really could be. So you have to play like that. Brett, you missed the keys of the game, so you're going to have to rewind it because Mike's got to get going. I got to get going. But
stop jumping in and out with different burner accounts there, Brett.
Exactly.
I want to say, I did go through. Remember, I was here because I had heard that there was something ruthless going on Saturday nights. I just want to say you checked all the boxes. Grade A. We're going to put that up on the wall. Fantastic job, man. Love doing the show with you.
I appreciate. Yeah, you can come on anytime. I love having guests, and Brett wasn't feeling well, so we appreciate you stepping up. You're the kingpin of our Mafia, and you're the Godfather. So
I appreciate that.
Everything runs through you, so we appreciate it. And we could be 5-2 tomorrow, everybody.
And the first place too.
Dolphins could lose, they could win. Even if they win, we're 5-2, and we're top of the AFC in some juncture, and got to keep controlling your own destiny. Because say we win out and the Dolphins win out to the Week 18 game, then it's 2 losses versus 1 loss. Winner of that game takes all. So control your destiny. Win every Super Bowl every week. Let's do it. Let's go Bills. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay ruthless. And Mike, thanks again for tuning in. Love you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And everyone, we always forget to say this because we just enjoy chatting it up with you. But if you're new to the channel, please like, comment, drop a nickel on that subscribe button, and get over to Sean's channel if you haven't already, and subscribe there on the Red, White, and Bills. And of course, go Bills. Go Bills. Why am I forgetting his name right now? Podcast. Go Bills. Go Bills podcast. There we go. Get over to Brett's channel. Anyhow, thank you all. Brett, we're heading out, buddy. Sorry. I see you in the green room. Enjoy some of the wings. We have some leftovers there. Wow. We'll see you guys soon. Go Bills. Let's get the big win tomorrow. Let's celebrate tomorrow night on the post-game show. See y'all. Go Bills.
See you later. Go Bills.